You've been knocked down and got up again. In a corner, you're surrounded, no defenders. You've hid your fury and kept it in. But it's time now, you ignite and turn to embers. Like a phoenix, you burst in a fire, burn. A thirst and desire, you transform right up in a flash. You spread your wings to rise from the ashes. Phoenix, you burst in a fire, burn. A thirst and desire, you transform right up in a flash. You spread your wings to rise from the ashes.
Electric Boogaloo.
You see the truth behind the veil, and you know that they're just looking for attention. Oh, you don't let the ruthlessness prevail. Oh, it's time now, light your fires for ascension. Like a phoenix, you burst in a fire, burn. A thirst and desire, you transform right up in a flash. You spread your wings to rise from the ashes. Phoenix, you burst in a fire, burn. A thirst and desire, you transform right up in a flash. You spread your wings to rise from the ashes.
Bittersweet and I'm walking slow. Sensitive, feel the afterglow. Looking for things that I can't control. Fear from my past cause it always shows. Do I wanna try? Can I let it go? Running from the past, wanting to be sure. Chaos in my mind, constant deja vu. But every time it comes back to you. Whoa, I'm still falling. Whoa, but it tastes bittersweet. Whoa, I keep on falling. Whoa, I like the taste of it.
Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. Today we've got the Game Week 14 deadline stream. Thank you all guys for jumping in already. Have a look at the poll. Early vote, Salah's got 100% of the vote at the moment with 9 votes now actually. I do think he's going to be a very popular captain for this game week. He's got a great fixture, Everton away, and I do think he's going to be starting in this game as well for the derby. So definitely know that a great fixture for him. Kane was one that I did expect to get a couple of votes there as well, but it does look like it's going to be everyone sticking with Salah as he's just providing so many good attacking returns at the moment, such a consistent performer. So I don't see why people would go without him, which is fair enough. Also, as of course, we have to go through the FPL team news before any game week, and with this fast turnaround there is going to be a couple of late ins and outs. At the moment, it looks like Harry Maguire is back from Manchester United, which is the main one. Leeds have got Bamford and Ayling playing for their under-23 side, so whether they're going to face Palace today is the question. I'm not sure if they're going to be fully fit and back, but for Rafinha owners, this is definitely going to be good news to them because it just provides Rafinha with that increased assist potential for sure, especially with Bamford back on the side. Otherwise, Crystal Palace, Anderson is out, but Eze is back to play, which is definitely a good one for them, especially from an attacking standpoint. So for Gallagher owners, Benteke owners, Zaha owners, it's definitely going to increase their assist output as well, or even goal output with Eze providing the chances to them. Leicester, Tielemans is out for them. El Yunusi and Diallo are back in contention for Southampton. Otherwise, Watford and Chelsea, not too much news. There is doubts whether Reece James is going to get benched in this fixture or not, but we'll have to see with that. Otherwise, I think West Ham should be okay. Brighton should be okay. Wolves, Potence should be out. And with Burnley, Tarkowski, Westwood ruled out. Otherwise, Jota should be good to start. Romero is still injured for Spurs. And for United, Maguire's available, but Varane is a doubt to start this game. And then for Arsenal, there is some injury news on Bukayo Saka. So obviously, he did pick up that injury in game week 13. But yes, Saka did pick up a late injury. Obviously, he does need the scan for that injury as well, so whether he's going to be okay to play for Game Week 14 is a bit in doubt, but we'll have to see from there. Melvin, I want to replace Mount, 7.4 mil, and need a replacement. Do you have any suggestions? I have 0.7 in my bank. Yeah, so if you don't have Diogo Jota, I think he's definitely a great pick. Otherwise, Conor Gallagher is a very good pick as well. He's a nice long-term option with these fixtures, or I guess at least up until Game Week 20. And then, of course, Diogo Jota coming off 14 points in that game week. He's got very good fixtures pretty much all the way to game week 26. He's a viable option. So if you don't have either of those two players, I'd look to bring at least one of them in. Sherip says Ramsdale, Trent, Cancelo, James, Salah, Gallagher, Jota, Pukki, Ronaldo, Tony, and Mbuemo. Bench, Gray, Marcel, Livramento, Sanchez. I have 0.2 in the bank. Whom to replace? Well, I think, first of all, looking at the goalkeepers, Sanchez, Ramsdale's fine. Trent, Cancelo, Reece James is a perfect defence. Salah, Gallagher, Jota, good midfield. Pukki, Ronaldo, Tony. And you've also got Mbuemo there as well. I'm assuming he's going to be starting in midfield. I guess the only real person you can say there is Mbuemo. But looking at the team, there's not too many other players you could bring in for Mbuemo at the moment. Like, he's got good fixtures coming up. If you just hold on to him for Tottenham away, Leeds away, and Watford at home is definitely the next couple of good fixtures. So I think at that point in time, it's okay just to leave the team for now. If you do have 2 free transfers, then the player you could try and move on Mbuemo with this money, but with 0.2 in the bank, it is going to be difficult to do so. So maybe the only players to Dango, Ronaldo, but I wouldn't necessarily want to do that either. So I think I'd be happy just to hold those transfers there. Vamos, should I bench? Who? Let me know. But yes, guys, here is the squad at the moment. I'll show you the starting 11 for this week. Sanchez in goals, Trent, Cancelo, Rudiger, the 3 backs. Jota, Salah, the Liverpool triple up there. Rafinha and Gallagher have got the same fixture just after the deadline starts. Actually, I believe it's the second game of the game week. Then Kane, Jimenez and Tony. Obviously, Tony's got the most difficult fixture this week of Spurs away. We do have Livramento first bench against Leicester at home, so this is a good fixture even in case anyone gets benched, whether it be Rudiger, whether it be Cancelo. And then looking at some transfer plans, actually looking ahead, because we have used this one transfer this week of getting rid of Saka and bringing in Diogo Jota. I think after this week, Jimenez will depart from the squad. He's got Burnley at home, and then the fixtures do take a turn for the worse. He's got Liverpool, City, Brighton, Chelsea. I do think I'd be looking to get rid of him and potentially bring in Josh King. I will be looking to bench him the first week that we have him, so obviously he's going to play Chelsea this week. We'll bench him for that Man City at home fixture, but then Brentford, Burnley, Palace, Wolves, West Ham, Spurs, Newcastle, Norwich. A fairly nice fixture run for him, and he's produced incredible underlying numbers recently. And there's also a decent vote of 5.7, and that leaves me 2.3 mil. I could even upgrade Tino up to a premium Chelsea defender or a premium City defender, or just whoever I want really in that defence. Or we could even upgrade one of the midfielders if need be. So I think definitely bringing in Josh King gives us plenty of flexibility for the squad. Leo says, is captaining Trent over Salah a good call this game week against Everton, with your rank being top 175k? I think definitely the safe play is just to captain Mo Salah. Like, obviously it's quite risky going for Trent, and if Salah gets returns, you're just missing out on most likely the most popular captain this week. So I think it's probably just worth sticking with Salah on the captaincy and then relying on the rest of the team to give you those rank rise or falls. Abdul says, yo, how's it going? Vamos, within Hwang, Lamptey, Smith Rowe, who should I bench? Oh, Hwang's got Burnley at home, which is a nice fixture. Who's Brighton got? West Ham away is tricky. And Smith Rowe, Manchester United away, which is also a tricky fixture. I mean, I'd probably bench Smith Rowe. As good as he's been playing, I think with Odegaard playing in Cam, Smith Rowe didn't look as threatening in game week 13. Should I save the transfer this week? I have one free transfer. I think this is a fairly decent week to save the transfer, to be honest. And then just look towards the weekend's fixtures. Otherwise, Jota, I guess, is the main transfer target this week for a lot of FPL managers. Should I play Tony, Vardy, or Hwang? I want two of them. I think I play Vardy for sure. He's done well last week, and he's got a decent fixture this week. Whether it's Tony or Hwang. I mean, Tony only had one touch in the opposition box, and he scored with this penalty. And Hwang's got Burnley at home, so it's a difficult decision, but potentially Hwang could be a nice pick against Burnley at home. Maybe the better fixture, but Tony's probably been in better form. Would you say replacing Jose Sa after this game week is a must? Yeah, probably. I mean, obviously goalkeeper transfers aren't ideal, but even being a Wolves fan, I'm not expecting Wolves to get many clean sheets from now until game week 21. Maybe they might get one or two in there against Brighton and Watford potentially, but otherwise it's not looking great from a defensive standpoint. So yeah, although goalkeeper transfers aren't ideal, I'd probably look to move Sa on. Hi there, hope you're having a great day. Sure, do you think it is good to use Son in game week 14? 100%. I definitely think if you're looking to bring in Spurs assets, Brentford at home and Norwich at home, it doesn't really get too much better than that in terms of fixtures. And I do think Son's probably the best attacking asset for the Spurs. I do think he's better than Kane in that sense. So yeah, I think he's a good pick for sure. Amos, thanks. I'll bench Smith Rowe as you suggest. Hwang or Lamptey, who should I start? Oh, so you're going to go for one of them. I mean, if I'm being honest, I think West Ham can score in this game against Brighton. So maybe Hwang. But that one could definitely go either way, that's for sure. But yeah, as I said before, it's probably going to be Humanist to depart the squad after this week, Josh King to come in, and then we could go Livramento to either Alonso or Reece James. Just say we go for Alonso. That leaves us with, what, 1 mil in the bank, which is still a fairly large sum of money. And then, I mean, if we do want to bring Antonia back into the side, if we get rid of Tony, is that affordable? 8.1, so we're going to be 0.5 short, so that could be a bit tricky as well. Because definitely Antonia could be one in discussion after game week 17. I guess that is 4 weeks away. So we can go from there. But I guess this could be the immediate transfer plan at the moment. I mean, Josh King's still a viable option till game week 23 if he can maintain some decent form, that's for sure. Manaras, have you made your transfers? Yeah, we've made one transfer this week, which was Jota in for Bukayo Saka. And then, yeah, well, I guess all that information is just on the team selection video. We did upload that earlier today, so you can see how we got on last week. As well, your thoughts on corners. Cornet, right. I mean, yes, decent option, that's for sure. We'll have a look at him real quick. Just to confirm that. I mean, he's been in good form, that's for sure. Fixture-wise, head is fairly decent as well. The thing with him is, right, there's a lot of other good 6 million midfielders, and he is quite a differential one. So he's one that if he doesn't perform, a lot of people with Gallagher, Jota, Rafinha, and even in Mbeumo, if he can start scoring, it could be punishing. But I do think he's definitely a good asset. And I think he's probably one that's being slightly overlooked at the minute as well. I was looking at him for a bit to bring him to the team. He's still a potential option, but we've decided to go without him. Duffy replacements. I mean, Ben White may not be bad for a similar price. 4.4 million. I was surprised he's still that price. Arsenal have been fairly good defensively, and they've got good fixtures coming up. And yeah, I mean, he's a similar price to Duffy as well. So Southampton at home, game week 16 is nice. I mean, even Everton away, they've been a bit off it recently. So not bad for the same price. You could even go for Tomiyasu in that Arsenal defence as well. For that cheaper defender price. And also Cody or Duffy in CB this week. I definitely think, well, for this week, Cody for sure. Burnley at home is definitely a nicer fixture than West Ham away. Captaining Trent for the 4th game week in a row, 72 points, captain from last 3. That's huge for you, Ditcher. I mean, you've taken a good punt there going for Trent. As the captaincy option, and it's definitely paid off, that's for sure. I mean, yeah, we could go for him, but I think it's going to be better just to go for Salah as the safer option. Thoughts on Gundo? Yeah, he's definitely one that of a couple of people I've been discussing. I'm always a bit hesitant going with those City attacking assets, and I feel like people kind of get sucked into saying, oh, I have to have, it's just a compulsory to have a City attacker. And a lot of people did it with Foden, and a lot of people did it with Mahrez as well at the start of the year. 48 points so far, 3 goals, 1 assist. I mean, he's not getting much consistency in his minutes. He has started 3 of his last 3 games. And of course, City have got very good fixtures as well. I mean, they're going to have Champions League coming up, and it's a busy schedule anyway, so I'm not sure how many games he's going to be getting over the future. I mean, for 7.2 mil, you could go for Bernardo Silva potentially instead. But yeah, I'm always very hesitant going with the City attackers because you just don't know. He is one still for consideration, but personally, it's been a bad experience going for City midfielders and forwards this year so far. I think if you just go for Diogo at 7.7, is probably going to provide better returns than him. Even the likes of Rafinha, he's been in good form as well. What do I do with Wilson after my 2-game week punt? My current 4 liners Kane, Wilson, and Hwang. Yeah, we'll have a look at that real quick. Kane Wilson. He's got Norwich, Burnley next 2. So essentially we're looking at forwards for game week 16 onwards, right? I think the obvious replacement could definitely be Josh King. He's got a difficult next 2, but after that, Brentford, Burnley, Palace. He's been in great form recently. He's got 5 goals in his last 5 games. And he's produced great underlying numbers as well. 5 goals and 3 assists across the year. So he's essentially one that fits perfectly in with that fixture timeline with Callum Wilson. Lukaku in for Kane. Also another premium forward for consideration. That's the thing. There's been a lot of premium forwards now that have come forward to be decent options. Like Lukaku's coming back. Ronaldo's now got good fixtures. Obviously Kane's got a good next 2 fixtures. And Vardy's just come off a huge double-digit haul as well. So there's plenty of premium forward options at the minute. I think I wouldn't jump the gun and bring in Lukaku just yet. I'd still stick with Kane. He's got 2 nice fixtures coming up. And we'll see how Lukaku adjusts back from his injury. What about Ollie Watkins? He's also one that I haven't really heard too much about Ollie Watkins as a potential option, but he's been decent since the arrival of Steven Gerrard. He obviously got 8 points game week 12, which is nice. Look at Villa's fixtures. I mean, it does, he's got a tricky next 3, but then Norwich, Burnley, Chelsea, Leeds, Brentford is definitely a nice next 5. So if he can continue scoring, then he's decent. I think he's not been in as good as form as Josh King. And he is obviously £2 million more expensive. But if he can start scoring, then there's no reason why he can't be the next equivalent to the likes of Humanist. So people are getting rid of Jimenez. Or once Tony's fixtures go south after, I believe, 4 weeks. And then you could go to him potentially. But I think it's good amongst the forwards. There's definitely plenty of variation in the forwards people are picking at the moment. I think these are probably 3 of the highest owned forwards: Tony, Kane, Jimenez, amongst some of the top managers. But I definitely think there's going to be a lot of differentiation over the next few weeks with who people go for. Yeah, and as I said before, especially with a lot of the other premium forwards coming back into either good fixtures or just coming back from injury. And as I said before, this will be the squad. Kane is taking the vice captaincy armband, which could potentially be important this week if Salah for some reason doesn't play. But I do think he will play in this fixture. Otherwise, bringing Brentford home for Kane is decent. Looking at the poll now, Salah's taken 74% of the vote. Kane 7%, Reece James 5%, and others got 14%. So obviously, once again, Salah is the popular captaincy option. King seems nice, can invest the money in defence. This is true, so King will allow for a lot of money to be spent elsewhere. Calvert-Lewin becomes a good option soon. Well, when he comes back from injury, he's also going to be a decent shout. We'll check out Everton's fixtures real quick. So they've got Liverpool, Arsenal, Palace, Chelsea, which is not the easiest next 4. After that, Leicester, Burnley, Newcastle. So, we did originally bring him into the squad early on in the season, and then he got injured the week we brought him in. So definitely when he plays, he's a great pick as well. Even though Everton have been a bit out of sorts, it is mainly due to the fact that Calvert-Lewin hasn't been there. So he's also another viable option once he comes back from injury. So yes, definitely plenty of forward options. I think the main position on the pitch right now that people are sticking to the template is defence. As people are just going for Trent plus Cancelo or another City defender, and then the Chelsea double up, or whether it be Rodrigo, Reece James, or Reece James, Alonso, or Alonso Rudiger. That's the main 4 people are going for. Midfield, a little bit of differentiation in the forwards is where there's the most differentiation in teams, that's for sure. Do you think there will be performance dip in Watford because of Dennis going to AFCON? I guess, yeah, he's been extremely involved in their team. But I think it could also improve King as being the sole goal scorer, because Dennis has been taking a couple of goals off him, that's for sure. But I guess we really have to see. It's kind of hard to judge at this point in time. What do you think of St. Maximin for the Norwich game? Yeah, he could definitely be a good pick as well. Him or Callum Wilson are definitely worth a look at for the Norwich game. I mean, even for the next 2 weeks, it could be worth the punt if you got like 2 free transfers saved up, or you're planning to have 2 free transfers saved up in a couple of weeks. It could be worthwhile taking a 2-week punt on either St. Maximin or Wilson. Who you go for between the two, I mean, it sort of comes down to personal preference. They're similar in that aspect. Jesus becomes a good option because Mahrez has to go to AFCON as well. Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of players that have to leave for that tournament. Yeah, Mahrez actually hasn't been getting that many minutes in the Prem either. I mean, he's been mainly prioritised for the Champions League, and he's actually been playing a lot of games in the Champions League as well. Like Mahrez, I believe he played the 90 minutes game week 13, but that was the first time he played 90 minutes, since game week 8. So yeah, he's not necessarily the one that's taking minutes off Jesus. But yeah, it's mainly because I think Foden and De Bruyne, I mean, they could potentially come back into that side as well. So there's so much competition for places in that City attack, it's just hard to judge who's going to be playing for who or who's going to be getting minutes. I've already bought in Wilson for Vardy, Justin Norwich and Burnley better fixtures than Southampton and Villa. Also used up the money to invest in Jota, so I'm satisfied. Yeah, well, that's fair enough. I mean, freeing up the cash to bring in Jota is definitely a good play. Even though Vardy's got good fixtures and he returns this week, I can see the appeal because you're strengthening the squad elsewhere as well. And I think Jota should be one that's people should be definitely looking at as a transfer target for this game week for sure. But yeah, guys, make sure you drop a vote on the poll as well. Also, can we try and get the stream to 20 likes? We've got 26 people watching right now, and the 12 likes at the moment. So can we try and get any more people to like it up to 20 likes for the stream? It'd be awesome. So yeah, as expected, Salah 72% of the vote. Others actually got 13, so it looks like Kane and Reece James are also tied on 7%. So I think still Salah's the main captain, but it could be a widespread of differential options after Salah this week, that's for sure. But I mean, discussing those that play with King, you can remove Humanist and bring in King to the side like this. This is probably going to be the transfer plan for game week 15 on the weekend. Bring in King, and then what's it? Game week 15, Chelsea, West Ham away. So it isn't the easiest fixture to go for double Chelsea defence. So we could potentially hold the transfer that week and then go for Alonso over Livramento for Leeds at home. Could be worthwhile. Whether this be Alonso or Reece James, it's really either or. They're both very strong options. I'm actually debating between Jota and Trent for captaincy shout this week. Well, yeah, there's a couple of other Liverpool assets that are all good. I mean, we've got all three of those assets, Trent, Salah, Jota, and they're all very good options, that's for sure. I think there's a slightly increased risk this week of going for Trent because there is the potential that Everton score at home. But yeah, Jota's been in incredible form. Obviously, got himself 2 goals He's actually snuck up to 7 goals this season. He's one of the highest goal scorers. And per 90, he's got very good numbers as well. 3 goals in his last 2 games, so he's been immense for Liverpool. I mean, yeah, if you're going to look to climb the ranks dramatically, then you could take the differential captain punt. But for this week, I think we're just sticking it safe, going with Salah, and then relying on the rest of the team to try and produce those differential returns. What are your thoughts on bringing in Lukaku? Yeah, he was one we did talk about before. And we were discussing whether we bring him in for Kane or not. And I do think he could be a viable premium option, that's for sure. I think he's just got to give him a couple of games to get back into form. He obviously was quite poor before he got injured as well, so I think that's one to be wary of. But as far as premium forwards go, he definitely could be a good shout. But I think I'd just give him a couple of games. I wouldn't just jump on him straight away. Kane's got a good couple of next 2 fixtures. Also, Ronaldo's got good fixtures coming up. Even Jamie Vardy's got good fixtures if people want to jump back on him as well. So definitely with all the premium options going on at the moment, I think it could be worthwhile just waiting a couple of weeks to see how Lukaku does adjust. But yeah, otherwise definitely could be a decent shout, that's for sure. But yeah, so that is the transfer plan. King and Alonso in for Humanist and Livramento over the next couple of weeks. Obviously, there is going to be plenty of rotation in the squad, whether it be injuries over the congested fixture period or people going to other international tournaments. But yeah, that's all going to be kept in mind. We've still got that 1 free transfer, so I think the play is just to keep rolling that transfer every week, and then we can use that extra transfer to accommodate for any injuries in the squad. But yeah, here's the squad at the moment. Jimenez is there, and Livramento is there. I mean, Livramento is going to become pretty unusable on the bench. Like, he's done well in terms of increasing in price, and he's come up the bench a couple of times for some good returns. But, I mean, he's going to be pretty much unusable as a bench option from now till game week 26. Like, he's got Brentford at home, which is nice, Newcastle at home, which is nice. Otherwise, Leicester, Brighton, Arsenal, Palace, West Ham, Tottenham, Wolves, City, Tottenham again, Man United, Everton. You're not really going to be seeing him come off the bench for many of those games, so it could be a good chance to use some extra funds that you may have to upgrade him to another premium defender, and I think that's a move that a couple of people will be going for. I brought him in a rage for Kane because of the Tottenham game this weekend. Well, yeah, I can see the frustration, but I mean, now, you just got to hope that it pays off, really. But Spurs got 2 great fixtures this week, coming up. Well, actually, both in this week. So, I mean, we'll have to see. It takes something special from Lukaku to come back from injury and then just produce returns like that. Watford away is definitely the fixture to do it, though. West Ham away is definitely a bit more difficult. But yeah, I guess a lot of people have been frustrated with the Spurs assets, especially the attacking ones like Son and Kane that just haven't been performing. Livramento could drop in price soon. Yeah, that's the other consideration as well. So, I mean, we'll pull up the fixed price change predictor, and we'll see what they say for Livramento's price when it's going to be changing. Price change predictor. So yeah, they've got him predicting a price change for tomorrow as a change time. So, I mean, he could definitely be one on the horizon of a quick transfer out. And I'm assuming they mean not necessarily the next price change deadline, but the one after. So in two days' time, you could change in price. So I definitely think over that time, if people are looking to move him on, it could be a good chance to do so in the next day or so. And as I said before, whether people move him on to a cheaper defender like a Ben White, or just around a £4.5 million defender, or if they go to a premium defender by spending money, by freeing up money elsewhere, could also be the play. I had Son and Kane for a few weeks just to get Son for Jota so I can upgrade Matip. Yeah, well, fair play. I think it's only necessary to have one Spurs attacker at the moment, considering their poor offensive form. Whether you go for Kane or Son, it's really up to you, because they both have been a bit out of form recently, that's for sure. And Matip to Alonso as well, so probably worthwhile, yeah. In terms of Son and Matip compared to Jota and Alonso, I think I'd take Jota and Alonso there. So, yeah, fair play in the transfers there. But, yeah, at the moment, this is the team lining up for this week. 3-4-3 formation. A lot of people are rocking 4 defenders in the minute. But we have stuck with just Trent, Cancelo and Rodrigo. And then, as I said before, it could be a second Chelsea defender, which would see us switch to a 4. We'll actually have a look. So, pretending Livramento is Alonso and Jimenez is King. So this will be the team for next week if we make both those transfers in 1 week. We switch to a 4-4-2, bench King. We can assess the fixtures from there on, but I believe then Chelsea in 2 weeks' time face Watford this week, which is decent. West Ham will be the one after that, and then it'll be Leeds at home. So we can go double Chelsea defence for Leeds at home, which could be worthwhile. And then whether we start King, he'll have, was it game week 16? He's got Brentford away, so he probably comes in and starts in that week as well. So there'll definitely be a bit more squad depth, I believe, because we've got essentially 4 defenders, 4 midfielders and 3 attackers that we can play every week. Save that like that. I've totally spooked on the Alonso thing. I'm going to ignore it and pray. Yeah, well, it's not totally like... Watford away is obviously a great fixture. West Ham away game week 15. It could be worthwhile. If you don't already have him, then just to hold off him for the next couple of weeks and assess. But yeah, the last thing you want to do is jump the gun and then go regret the transfer that you've wasted. No real points. Well, I'll show you the rank real quick. At the moment we're 216, which is decent. Definitely could be higher, but we are looking to push in to the top 100k at least in the coming, well, hopefully over the Christmas period, really try and get into that top 100k. Well, if we look at our game week history, we actually had a very rough start to the season. We were 3-0 after game week 1. And we've pretty much just tried to take our green arrows from there. We've only taken 1 red arrow. And we're now inside 216k. So we've been doing fairly well recently. Last 3 game weeks have been 500k game week rank, 400k game week rank, and 700k game week rank. So the team has been performing well. Yeah, and the plan is just to keep rising, of course. Salah now at a 71% captaincy, Kane 7%, Reece James 8%, and other 14%. I'm assuming a lot of the other captaincy options could be the likes of Jota or Trent as the alternative Liverpool assets. I guess an Everton side that hasn't been performing very well recently, that's for sure. Especially after losing to Brentford last week, who were struggling prior to that game. Lost to Norwich, lost to Burnley, and draw to Newcastle prior to that. Yeah, in fact, they hadn't won a game since game week 7. So, with the incredible form that Liverpool are in at the minute, I think they'll absolutely dispatch Everton in this match, especially in a derby. They'll be fired up to get the job done. Thoughts on Mount? Thinking of shipping out soon to fund Cancelo. I mean, you could probably hold him for this week against Watford away, but overall, I do think there's better players in midfield compared to Mason Mount. And if you're thinking of getting rid of him to be able to fund Cancelo, then 100% that's a good play, because Cancelo is one of the top scoring defenders so far, and his price is only going to be rising as well. So I think, yeah, it's probably a good play. I mean, Watford away is a decent fixture to hold him, that's for sure. Rudiger for Alonso. It's difficult doing the sideways move of Chelsea defender to Chelsea defender. It is one that we could potentially do as well, but I like that Rudiger is the consistent starter for Chelsea, and you can just rely on him to play every single week. And hopefully he can continue to get some decent minutes over the Christmas period. Obviously, they do have the likes of Shalaba, Thiago Silva, Christensen all there as well that can play. And Sarr as well in defence. Thanks a lot for Watford, no worries, mate. Number of people going back to 4. Some good forward options coming, such as Bon, Calvert-Lewin, Ronaldo, Lukaku, City mids. I think the play is sticking with the back 3 to give more forward options. Yeah, I guess it just depends which way you go about it, but I can see the temptation with all these midfield and forward options becoming viable now. And there's definitely going to be a large variety in picks of these midfield and forward options compared to the typical Liverpool, City and Chelsea defender as the back 3, or a back 4 of a Liverpool defender, City defender, and then double Chelsea defence. What's that now? Around 5 hours 23 to the deadline. Obviously, it is a bit before the deadline, but the time difference where we are right now makes it quite late. We'll check out the predicted lineups for the upcoming games. We'll just look at the next 2. We've got Newcastle Norwich, so they got Wilson and Sam Maximum got a 74% chance to start. I do think he'll start, and Callum Wilson's been given a 100% chance. And there could be rotation amongst the keeper. Leeds versus Crystal Palace. The main ones here. They've got Ayling still out of the squad, as well as Bamford. And then they've deemed Rafinha to have a 100% chance of playing as well, which is good. So yeah, as I said before, once Patrick Bamford comes back, it should definitely improve Rafinha's performances, and FPL returns as well. Leeds don't have the nicest fixture run coming up though, so Crystal Palace at home, Brentford at home. Chelsea, City, Arsenal, Liverpool is not a nice fixture run. I think, yeah, they're going to find it difficult to score in these games against 3 of the best defences in Chelsea, City and Liverpool. Also saying that Arsenal defence has been fairly solid recently. So he's another one that could be up for rotation, and we can just see what other midfield options present themselves. And that's another good thing with going from Humanist down to Josh King, as we were touching on before. If we go Humanist to King, it does give us that 2.3 in the bank to get rid of Rafinha, and we can get any mid-price midfielder and still have a lot of money in the bank. So yeah, by bringing in King, there is definitely an increase in flexibility in the squad, which is really good. Ramsdale or Sanchez this week. I'd probably go Sanchez this week for sure. Just overall, I mean, Sanchez got West Ham, Southampton away is okay. Spurs at home, Wolves at home, United away is a bit difficult. Arsenal have got better fixtures outside of this game week, so if you're looking for better long-term fixtures, I do think Ramsdale's the better pick. And yeah, as I touched on, Arsenal's defence has been solid recently as well. FPL Aiden, hello mate, how's it going? So yeah, as I said, Rafinha could go and switch to any mid-price midfielder. We'll look at some other main team news. We'll have a look at Liverpool's predicted starting lineup by Fix as well. So pretty much their front six has been given a 100% chance of playing, as has the majority of their team. I'm assuming it should be a fairly unchanged lineup from the one that featured on the weekend. And the main injuries just being Firmino there. United's line, there was a couple of interesting ones. Maguire it looks like he's going to start. They've given Ronaldo a 77% chance to start as well, which is interesting. Chelsea, we can have a look at Lukaku as well, who was one that a couple of people were discussing. They've actually given Lukaku a 95% chance of playing in this game, so it looks like he'll be back and good to go. And then the fullbacks they've got there are Reece James and Alonso. Reece James the 94% chance to play, and Alonso with the 97%. And for the back three, they're predicting Rodrigo, Thiago Silva, and Chalobah. Obviously, they do have Christensen as well, which they could use. And then Chilwell and Kovacic are the injured players there. So, yeah, it looks to be that Lukaku will be playing his first game back. And hopefully for everyone that owns Rudiger, Reece James and Alonso, they all get minutes in this fixture. This week, Ramsdale, Sanchez, then probably Sanchez this week. Not I said. My team is Sanchez, James, Diaz, Cancelo, Trent, Rafinha, Salah, Jota, Tony, Humanist, Vardy, with then Blame Livermore, Brent on the bench. Would you do Diaz to Alonso or bank transfer? It's difficult. If you have 2 free transfers, otherwise, yeah, there's not too many other transfers that you'd want to make in that team. It's a fairly solid, well-rounded team, so you could probably go Diaz to Alonso if you wanted to. And Watford away is probably the fixture to do it as well, if you could pick any fixture. Should I start Gallagher or Bowen? I personally start Gallagher, just purely based on they've been in both been in good form. But yeah, then go after form, you're going to go to the fixture, and I think Gallagher's got the better fixture. Leeds, not the greatest defence. Saying that, Bond's also got a good fixture as well. But I'm liking Gallagher at the moment. All fine, thanks. 2 free transfers in the bank. Thinking of either doing Rudiger to Alonso or else someone in my midfield for Jota. My mid, Rafinha, Salah, Brownhill, Son, Gallagher. Yeah, well, it's a very nice midfield. It is difficult to fit in Jota to that midfield. Unless you have enough money in the bank to go Brownhill to Jota, but I highly doubt that. The only player in the midfield you could get rid of is Rafinha. Because, you got him for the next 2 weeks and then you got to get rid of him. But it's hard to do that with Crystal Palace and Brentford as his next 2. So maybe you could go to Alonso as that transfer there, and you can frap a little bit of money as well in the process. Would you do Foden to Gundogan or hold transfer? I'll check. Foden's predicted chance of playing, actually, because that could be useful information. Yeah, it looks like they've got Foden at still a 50% chance to play, so they're saying their front 6 is going to be Bernardo Silva, Gundogan, Rodri, Jesus, potentially Ferran Torres or Raheem Sterling. With the Bruyne, Grealish and Foden missing out, so if you want to make that transfer, then it could be a good week to do it, because it looks like Foden's still going to miss. And Gundogan, if you want to go for him, is also a good pick. Guaita, Steele, Trent, Rudiger, Duffy, Livramento, White, Salah, Rafinha, Gallagher, Cornet, Jota, Kane, Wilson, Hwang. 1.7 in the bank, so I'm thinking straight Duffy to Alonso after the deadline. Yeah, Not a bad play. Do you think Lukaku starts? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Fix have given him a 95% chance of starting, and he should be good to go from his injury now. He's had a bit of time. So I think, yeah, he will start. Davin, which two would you play between Lamptey, Gallagher, Mbeumo, and Tony? I go Gallagher and Tony. Probably Gallagher and Tony is those two. I did Jimenez and Smith Rowe to Jota and King. I think it was a good move. Yeah, definitely a good move. I mean, potentially Jimenez was a week early, but Jota and King, they're both good options as well. Cheers, mate. Appreciate the feedback. No worries. What do you think? Bench Gallagher, Cornet, or Rafinha? Is a bench one of them? That's a very difficult decision, that's for sure. That's a very difficult decision. Who's Cornet got again? Wolves. I mean, I guess I benched Cornet just because I think Crystal Palace and Leeds will have plenty of goals in that fixture. That is going to be a very fun game to watch. I'm calling a 3-3 draw in this one. I think it's going to be a very good game to watch, that's for sure. How many hours till deadline? It's approaching around 5 hours till the deadline, which is still fairly far off, but just based on the time difference to where we are at the minutes, we have to stream at this time. Would you start massive in front of Smith Rowe and Mbeumo and play a 5-2-3? I mean, probably. Massiv's definitely got the better fixture. Take a hit to get Foden out. It could be worth because whether he'll be actually back in time for the weekend, I don't think he's going to be back in time for this week, that's for sure. I think you can probably rule him out for this week, and then he may come off the bench, but that could be a dat as well. And then whether he's back for the weekend or not is a question mark. So it could potentially be worth taking a hit. It also could be worth just holding off as well, just to assess the length of his injury and when he's going to be returning. But even when he has played, he's not been the best either. Vardy or Ronaldo? I think between those two, it could be worthwhile going Vardy. I think he might get more games than Ronaldo, and he's just putting returns on the board at the minute. Not transferring him, but getting really fed up with Antonia. Yeah, he was one that we jumped off early. I believe it was Jimenez we brought in for Antonia or Tony. One of the two, and I guess it's worked out because we didn't take any blanks with Antonia, I believe. I think we let him get those 4 blanks without him being in the score, which is nice. Thoughts on having a 4.4 forward? I mean, it definitely does decrease the flexibility in the squad, and there is a lot of other good forward options at the minute, so maybe not. Just because, as I said, there's going to be a lot of good forward options coming up. Like, King is going to be a good pick in a couple of weeks. I mean, he's, 1.3 million more than 4.4. So you maybe just spend the extra money on him as well, and then, as a couple of people said before, Calvert-Lewin will be coming back. You could even go for a Newcastle forward for the next 2 weeks as well. McCarthy or Sanchez, keep in mind I have Antonio. Yeah, well, I see this dilemma a lot where people question whether they play opposing play like an attacker and a defender against each other. Leicester at home, it isn't the worst fixture, but I think Leicester's going to score. So arguably Leicester at home is an easier fixture than West Ham away, so you could probably start McCarthy and get away with it, I reckon. Captain Son, he's also a good differential captain. He was one we were considering putting on the poll, but we wanted to get that diversity and go for Reece James there, so we could have not just 2 Spurs assets. But yeah, he's definitely a decent shout as well. Doing any transfers? Yeah, we made 1 transfer of Jota in for Bukayo Saka. That was the transfer we made this week, and we've rolled one of our free transfers. We did have 2 free transfers coming into this week. What's your plan with Kane? Thinking of getting Ronaldo in Game Week 16? Yeah, I guess we can see. We can assess what premium forwards present themselves as good picks. There's, of course, Ronaldo, maybe even Vardy, which is an interesting one. Or Lukaku has come back as well. So, I think we're just going to sit with Kane for now and see what other premium forwards can start doing things, start putting in work, and then we'll go for them. But I'm not a huge fan of holding Kane for too much longer because he's been off it. Lee says, which 2 must I start, Tony, Hwang or Smith Rowe? Difficult to say, but maybe Tony and Hwang. Or even Hwang and Smith Rowe as well. I mean, United away is probably a better fixture at this point than Spurs away. Liverpool versus Everton has been pretty close in the past few years. Yes, this is true, but I don't think there's been a time where Everton have been this bad and Liverpool have been this good simultaneously. I think, yeah, Liverpool are just in incredible form at the minute, and Everton just lost to Brentford, who haven't won since Game Week 7 or 8. So I think Liverpool should destroy. Foden out, Jota in, and Saka out. Gallagher in, is that a good decision? 100%. That's a good transfer plan for sure. Thanks, mate. Alvarez dropped from 2k to 12k without Jota and Chelsea double defence. Oof, that's rough. That's still a very good rank though. 12k is extremely good rank. Coming from a Liverpool fan, during AFCON, Jota becomes the left forward and Firmino becomes a striker and Mane a right forward. So the goal scoring becomes a lot less than right now. Yes, but I guess that sort of makes Jota a more potent attacking source for Liverpool potentially, because I think he'll become their main goal scorer in that front 3. Should I offload Mbeumo if he blanks again? It's a difficult one with him because people have to be extremely patient. I mean, if he blanks against Tottenham away, it's still difficult to get rid of him against Leeds away and Watford at home as his next 2. So I think you just got to be prepared to commit to keeping him for the next 3 weeks. And if he blanks in all those 3 games, well, at least you gave him a chance against 2 of the poorest defences in Leeds and Watford. But I think you just got to back him in for there. And he did take the most touches in the opposition box for Brentford in their last game as well. And he is definitely upholding more advanced positions than Tony. It was just that Tony got a penalty in, and Mbeumo doesn't take the penalties. Any consideration for Trent as captain? There was a little bit. I can see the temptation there, but I think for now we're happy just playing it safe with Salah. I mean, there is a possibility that Trent does outscore him again, but we'll have to see. Vardy to be benched. Interesting. We'll have a look at... I mean, Fix predict Vardy to have a 100% chance of starting. So if anyone else sees any information on Vardy being benched, then let me know. When will Firmino be back, more or less? I mean, it's tough to put a timeline on it specifically. They got... It's really tough to say. It could be a couple of weeks. Vardy may be benched, give that Ultra a bit of a rest. The status part is that we cannot trust the easy fixture in December as it's good for FPL players, but teams tend to bench their best players against teams like Norwich, Burnley, etc. That's true as well. It is tough to determine who's going to be starting and who's going to be out for how long or whatever. Cheap defending enablers other than Livramento, Nori, Pinning or someone else. Well, there's Ben White here who we've got, 4.4, or Tomiyasu, similar price. It's decent fixtures for Arsenal. Everton away is still decent. Southampton, West Ham, Leeds, Norwich, Wolves. That's a decent batch of fixtures and they're pretty cheap defenders. So maybe worthwhile. I mean, you could go for Wolves defence, but I don't think they'd be very playable next 4 games. Brighton away, potentially playable. Watford at home, playable. Arsenal away, maybe playable. So you could go for Cody if looking for a 4.5, or Max Kilman even, or you could go for a Brighton defender. They've got tricky fixtures, but I guess if you're just looking for a cheap enabler, as Matthew says, Lamptey as well. Gundogan is my punt this week. What do you think? I can see the temptation to go for the City mids. Me personally, I'm not a huge fan of the City midfielders, but he's been looking decent and he started the last 3 games. So there's no reason why he can't be a decent shout. Potential Humanist replacements. Yes, we were discussing this before. It's most likely going to be Humanist out and Josh King in for us. That's going to be the transfer plan. Newcastle have got a good couple of fixtures as well. And then also Dominic Calvert-Lewin will be coming from injury. Not saying that he's going to be a good option right away. But Antonio's fixtures sort of do overlap nicely with Jimenez. So if you don't have Antonio, you hold Jimenez for this week and maybe the week after. Or just go hold Jimenez this week and then bring in Antonio back for this fixture run as well. And as I touched on, St. Maximin's got a nice couple of next 2 fixtures. Tony, if you don't have Tony, is good as well. Timu Pukki I saw was one with a little bit of discussion, but I wouldn't really go for him. Otherwise, maybe even Christian Benteke. And as someone touched on before, Ollie Watkins, if he can start finding that more frequently, then he could also be a good shout. And then with those Hwang replacements, pretty much just the same as Jimenez replacements, really, that I've just read out. But the best one there for Hwang would probably be Josh King at a similar price, I guess. I'm thinking I'm punting on Target or Mings from Game Week 19. If I do this, whom should I remove from White, Duffy, Livramento? I have 0.2 stored up on Livramento too. I'll probably get rid of Livramento because his price does look to be going down in the next couple of days. According to Fix, are generally pretty decent with their price changes. So you could get rid of Livramento there, and he's, as I said before, he's not going to be very playable from now until Game Week 26. There's probably 2 or 3 fixtures there which you could start in for and genuinely expect to get some returns. Otherwise, I'd be surprised if he could record anything. So yeah, with his price decreasing and those tough fixtures, maybe Livramento is the best one to depart there. Obviously, that's not really gonna. Oh, so yeah, you should be right then. Thoughts on leaving out Arsenal players on bench against, apart from Ramsdale, Manu might best, but will they win? Yep, that's what we're doing actually. Well, we've got Sanchez in goals, and then we're benching Ben White this week, which is fair enough. Because, Manchester United should score. They should score, but you never know with them. But it's probably worth benching the Arsenal defenders. Any replacement for Son? Well, pretty much any midfielder in FPL right now, you can get in for Son. Whether it be Jota, Gallagher's good. And then you could go for a City midfielder as well, whether that be Gundogan or Bernardo Silva, or whoever you prefer in that Man City midfield. All good picks there. Firmino only out for a week or so, so yeah, okay. So whether he misses, he will definitely miss this week, and whether that means another game week as well. So yeah, okay, 1 to 2 game weeks could be the timeline there. Worth doing Jimenez, Manquillo, and Mbomo to Gallagher, King, Alonso for -8. This week's probably not the week to get rid of Jimenez. It is going to enable you to get in King and Alonso. It's not the week to get rid of Jimenez and bring in King this week, I'd say. That'd be a transfer for next week. So maybe if you could work around that to be able to bring those players, just go Mbomo to Gallagher and go from there. I saw some stats in Aston Villa compared. Jordan Smith, Aston Villa has improved in every defensive stat and got worse in every attacking stat. It's interesting, yeah. Well, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how that team performs over the coming weeks. So Jota only took game week 16 at most. Well, even if Firmino comes back into the side with the African Cup of Nations, it could potentially be that Jota starts for a couple of other games. But even if Firmino's back, Jota can still take minutes off Firmino. Like when Firmino was fit to play, Jota still started over him. Gerrard's style and rate just improved the defence and then worked from the back to the front. Do you think Gallagher is a sell now with Eze and Milivojevic back? No. I still think Gallagher's going to get plenty of starting minutes for Crystal Palace. Like he's probably been the best player this year. So I don't see him necessarily losing his spot to Eze. I think they'd work a way around to change a formation potentially to play both of them together, or start Eze on the bench instead of bringing him straight back into the starting 11. But I still think Gallagher will play, and that would therefore make him a decent hold. King or Dennis? I think King's produced better underlying stats than Dennis. The similar price, but also Dennis will have African Cup of Nations, I'm assuming. So leaves AFCON in January, so Jota could be a long-term hold. Yep, this is true. It's not about losing his spot. He might now play as a deep six. Yeah, I don't think he's necessarily going to lose his spot if Mina comes back. Moving Rafinha out when his fixture turns. Bowen, Gallagher, or Corner slightly worried of the Crystal Palace catfish. Well, I'm still liking Gallagher because these fixtures are still good, right? And he's got good underlying stats and he's been in good form, so all the flags are pointing towards Conor Gallagher. Bowen, I mean, it could be a good time to bring in Bowen after the 3 weeks when West Ham got tricky fixtures. Sorry, Rafinha. My bad. But you got 2 weeks. And then you just use the next 2 weeks to judge. Use the information for the next 2 weeks. It may be too early to call that decision just now. Just joining you making transfer. It doesn't look to be that we'll make any other transfers from the squad this week. We just made the one transfer so far this game week of Jota in for Saka. But yeah, mainly just discussing team news and any general questions people have before the deadline, which is in it's around 5 hours now. And yeah, the games are going to be coming quick and fast. Looking at the polls, Salah 76% of captaincy, Kane 7, Reece James 8, other 9. Just watch Klopp press Firmino a week away. I think I was referring to a week away from team training, so we're okay with Jota. He keeps scoring, no guarantee Firmino can get back in the team. This is true. I have James, Cancelo, Rudiger, and Trent. Should I do Rudiger to Matty Cash when game 18? Not a bad play. I think it's always difficult to get rid of the Chelsea defence because they're so strong. I think they've sort of moved into that Man City defence basket where regardless of the fixture, they're going to be great picks. But yeah, I mean, by that time you'll have plenty of information on how the Villa defence is going, and they've got good fixtures as well. Worth bringing in a Brighton defender. I was looking at either Cucurella or Lamptey. Brighton haven't got the easiest fixtures. Southampton, Spurs, Wolves, United is definitely not the easiest next 4, but I think if you go for any Brighton defender to bring one in, it would probably be Tariq Lamptey. And Mbeumo to Brownhill and Saka Jota for a hit, or wait till next week, downgrade Humanist and get Jota. No, definitely not a bad play this week because Mbeumo could be worthwhile jumping off now. He has been poor. So if you want to cash in on Jota this week, could be worthwhile. And then after that, you could just downgrade Jimenez. So I'd still wait on Jimenez. I think I'd still play him this week. I transferred Mbeumo out for Gundogan. Thoughts? Yep, definitely a viable transfer. Can't really say too much bad about that. Saka to Madison or Gundogan. I'd probably go Saka to Gundogan. I could pick one of them. Yeah, Gunzo. Thoughts on my team for game week 14: Mendy, Trent, James, Rudiger, Cancelo, Salah, Jota, Gallagher, Gundogan, Hwang, Vardy, bench, Foster, Smith Rowe, Tommy Yasu, and Armstrong. Very strong bench as well there. It's a decent squad. You can't say anything wrong about that. It's a very nice all-round side. Very good team, Carlton. But here is our starting. We've got Livramento White on the bench. It could be worthwhile. Strengthening up the squad just all round over the Christmas period, which will involve, of course, dropping Humanist down to King and bringing Livramento up to Alonso. Because by having 4 playing defenders, 4 playing midfielders, and 3 playing forwards, we always have that one quality player that we can rely on. And then we've also got Ben White there we can fall back on. So it'll be 2 quality players in the bench we can always use, which is handy compared to Livramento. Is pretty unusable at the moment. What's your bench? Well, there it is. And yeah, it's probably just going to involve Josh King. Might be sitting on the bench there for a couple of weeks. Then we're always going to have Ben White. So yeah, the squad should be fairly strong. And once Josh King comes in and Alonso comes in for Livramento, I think the bench could be rotated between the likes of King, even Tony, Gallagher, and then Rafinha when his fixtures turn. If we still have to hold on to him for whatever reason, he could be getting benched. Yeah, that's true. That team has got the potential for a bench boost there. My first time playing FPL with a rank of around 1 million. It's pretty good for the first time. That is the target I set at the beginning that I would love to end on. So happy going at the moment. Yeah, well, hopefully you can push in even further. Increase the rank in the coming game weeks. And just before the end of the season. Benteke, Hwang. Probably Benteke, considering him. Do you mean transferring in which case I go for Benteke? Even starting this week, you could arguably go for Benteke instead. Sick of Mbeumo in the team, but I can't move him. That's a problem that I'm feeling a lot of people would have at the moment. I guess if you can't get rid of him, then you just got to hold him for the next 3 weeks where he's got decent fixtures, and then maybe he can get 1 return over those next 3 weeks. And then, yeah, assess you can downgrade another player than to upgrade Mbeumo. We have the same XI apart from Kane. Well, it must be doing well. It's a nice team. There's probably a bit of differentiality in that premium forward option spot. Would you transfer out Diaz for Alonso or roll a transfer? I probably would pull the trigger and go for Alonso instead of Diaz. Do Mbeumo to Gundogan roll. I've got a decent team. Mbeumo on bench right now. It just depends if you'd actually... Who would you be benching if you started Gundogan? That's the question. Matthew, same headline, yeah. This is a decent... It's a fairly template team. The main differential aspects are Jimenez, Kane, I guess, although he's probably got a high ownership amongst the top managers. And Rafinha, I think it doesn't have the highest ownership amongst top managers, and then Gallagher, Tony are the main ones. I think Salah, Jota, Rudiger, Cancelo, Trent, Sanchez are all fairly templated at the minute. Currently top 2k at the moment. I'm having a dilemma over Antonia. He's got decent fixtures coming out, but his form is pretty poor currently. It's a tricky position at the moment because you've been holding him through a lot of difficult fixtures. I'd still say he's got 3 tricky fixtures to come. But yeah, Brighton at home is not the worst this week, so you could potentially hold. I've got Tony Hwang to bench if Gundogan is in. Right, well, yeah, I guess in that case you could bring him in and then just bench one of the 2. Yeah, I think that's viable if you could do that. Can I play Rodrigo against Crystal Palace? I'll pull up Leeds' predicted lineup. I don't know if Rodrigo's going to feature in that lineup or not. Just double check. No, they do. They got him at 90% chance to start, so you can definitely play him. I think there's going to be plenty of goals in that game, like I said before. I'm going for a big call, saying a 3-3 draw. That could definitely be a very entertaining match, that's for sure. Antonia to Lukaku for -4. I probably wouldn't jump on Lukaku straight away. And I guess Antonia against Brighton at home is a decent fixture, so maybe hold off that transfer for now and assess how Lukaku plays, especially for -4 is probably not worth. Matthew should be advising us with the rank. Yeah, bro, you just tell me what to do, honestly, at 2k. I hope the weather doesn't screw us up like the Tottenham game. Yes, that would be very not ideal if that happened again. Especially during the busy schedule when there's enough rotation. There's going to be enough squad rotation as there is. The benches are definitely going to be tested over the Christmas period, so having more fixtures called off with the weather is not going to be great. Should I start Vardy or Antonia this week? It can only be one. In that case, I go for Vardy against Southampton away. He's coming off good points last week, but at least he's carrying in better form to this fixture than Antonio, and Brighton are probably better defensively than Southampton. Antonio could drop. Yeah, check his price change predictor as well. I think he's just got to drop in the coming days with the amount of people that are transferring him out. Antonio. Yes, Fix have got him predicted to drop in the next, whenever the next price change deadline is. And for the risers, what have they got? Vardy, Gallagher, Madison, Region, Alonso, and also Gundogan as their predicted risers. So we'll see how that goes, but yeah. If Antonio drops, it just does make him slightly less tempting. Thanks, my thoughts exactly. No worries, mate, no worries. So, I think we'll wrap up the stream fairly shortly. We have been streaming for just over an hour now. And it's getting pretty late where we are at the minute. It is actually past midnight where we're streaming at the minute right now. So pretty much final votes on the captaincy, 77% say Salah, which is fair enough. Guys, just drop some final questions if you have any. If we can't answer the questions on the stream, feel free to DM us on Twitter and Instagram, and we'll try and respond to those there. But otherwise, we'll wrap up the stream fairly shortly. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Did get a fair few people in this stream. We're on 25 likes at the moment. Can we try and hit 40 likes? We got over 50 people watching the stream. We need 15 more to get to 40. That'd be awesome if we could hit 40 on the stream before it ends. But once again, thank you everyone for dropping in, and it's been a really nice stream. Thank you everyone. Where are you in the world? We're in Australia at the moment, so yeah, the time difference is quite dramatic. What do you think of Tierney and Humanist to Johnson and Jesus? Probably hold off that move, both players. I mean, especially Jesus is slight doubt. Fornals and Dennis, or Rafinha and Davis. Probably Fornals and Dennis. Cheers for a nice stream. No worries, mate. All good. All good. So thank you guys, hope everyone enjoyed, and with that being said, best of luck for Game Week 14, and I'll see you guys in the next one for a knee jerk, probably tomorrow.